for so many people, myself included. With how crazy the world is right now, the idea of an off-grid homestead is more popular than ever. So many people are noticing the world's moving too fast, things are too complicated, too expensive. Building an off-grid homestead isn't easy, but it is worth it, and it is doable. I just want to show you what that looks like from start to finish. And thank you for visiting my homestead. My name's Dave Whipple, and you've been watching Bush Radical. Be radical, eh? See you soon. There's been record snowfall at the off-grid cabin in the Lake Superior country, and I've got about 36 hours to get in and out, get the entire roof cleaned off before we get another foot of snow and then possibly rain. If we get rain on this much snow, I run the risk of losing this cabin. My name's Dave Whipple. You're watching Bush Radical.
My name's Dave Whipple. It's like, alright, well, I'm gonna fucking
So I'm heading into the cabin to try to make sure that the roof doesn't collapse. This is the most snow this country's had in probably a decade. I got my 1985 $400 Yamaha snowmobile that I just bought, so we'll see if it makes it in. After 12 miles of dirt road and 7 miles of snowmobile track, managed to get back into the property just fine. We'll see what we're dealing with now. Ooh, now I know there's a lot of snow in this country.
He's
this
got the
time
Eddie
of year.
Bauer jacket?
Nothing prepared me for what I'm looking at here with the cabin. There's a solid 4 foot of snow on the backside of this roof. Well, luckily there's nothing wrong with the woodshed. Everything is slid off the back. Time to get the snow shovel and start cleaning things off. Doesn't seem to be as much on the porch, but the backside of the roof is just insane. I've got about 45 minutes until it gets dark, so I'm going to clean up this front porch, get things tidied up, put away in the cabin, and settle in for the night. I've got to get that off the roof. That is heavy, heavy, wet snow. Tomorrow's supposed to be almost 40 degrees, so the snow's going to settle even farther. Well, tonight I think I'm just going to sit on the porch. It's so quiet out here. Then in the morning, we'll get up on the roof and tackle that snow. Inside of the cabin is just where I left it this fall. Everything looks pretty good. I brought in a little power station, so I've got lights. Put a fire in the stove, we're all set to go. Now this close to Lake Superior, we get a ton of snow. And that means it's generally not sunny. It's generally overcast because it's snowing. But today is a bluebird day. Clear skies, bright sunshine, warm, just amazing. Perfect day to get up on the roof and get it shoveled off. Now I've only had to shovel this roof one other time. A couple of years back we had a really heavy snow winter, but the last few years have been really mild. But this year's special. Not only is it record snowfall in this area, but we're almost in March. Another couple days it's going to be March. And at that point, things are going to warm up. And when we have this much snow this late in the wintertime, there's a very real possibility that the next big dump is not going to be snow, it's going to be rain. And in fact, there is a ½ inch of rain in the forecast. The back of this woodshed is about 6 feet high at the edge of the roof metal. And you can see how that snow has just slid off of there and folded up on itself. Kind of a artistic sculpture. Not one that's going to last, but it's something to look at, that's for sure. This piece of ice looks like a grumpy face with a runny nose. It's sure a relief to see that woodshed held the snow just fine, and the day is absolutely perfect for the work that needs to get done. Other than the snow being stuck on the roof of the cabin, everything else looks like it's weathered the winter quite well. front porch doesn't seem to have a ton of snow on it, maybe 3 feet. But it's a lot deeper on the back side of the cabin. Now this is an interesting sight. You can see from the fire I had last night how it's melted out the snow sculpture around the chimney stack. That is super cool. The cabin is sturdy and it's holding the weight just fine. But if we were to get an inch of rain, the rain wouldn't shed off the roof. The rain would just saturate the snow. And then what's a couple thousand pounds of snow might be 4,000 or 5,000 pounds of snow. So the game plan is to wallow down through the snow and get my ladder. Now I'm 6'2", so that's a really good scale demonstration of how much snow we're actually talking about. And if it all decided to slide off right now, no one would find me until the spring. The idea here is I'm not going to be able to climb on top of this snow. I'm going to have to establish an attack route and work my way into the snowpack. Well,
and he's got a nail, Jimmy.
It's probably going to take me all afternoon to get rid of it. It's definitely not going to be fun, but can't stay up there. All right, let's see how deep the snow really is.
Shit's crazy.
4 foot, 48 inches deep from the top to the roof. Dang.
Building the cabin.
Here I am standing on the roof, finally up on the roof.
Should have pitched the roof higher. Should have made it like a 45 at least. I mean, party favors?
Let's see if I can go find another shovel. Get down in that snow just a little ways, you start running into layers of ice. It's just killing me to get through that stuff. Keep at it.
I get excited when I smell that shit.
Well, not bad for an afternoon's work. Looks like I made some more work for myself. I've basically buried my own porch. Call it a day.
If your grandpa wears one of these, or if your wife wears this, you can count on USAA membership for the spouses, kids, and then grandkids of those who served. Count on us. Count on USAA.
We're in the home of Janet and Jack Earl.
On September 5th, every case they've investigated has led to this. Conjuring last right CR.
I wish we could actually catch up.
Here, now you can. With this new, bad, tasty DiGiorno with perfectly crispy and airy wood-fired style crust. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
Switch to Dove Mint to defend against dry skin.
Because sometimes we feel bad, even when it's for their own good. Because you're only human. There's Hills.
Now, unfortunately, the cabin is not the only thing that's snowed in. The outhouse is also snowed in. So you gotta plan ahead, because you're gonna have to dig it out. Now, in hindsight, if you'd be spending any time up here in the winter, it would have been smarter for me probably to make the door open inward. This outhouse is the very first building that was ever built on this property. And of course, it is the most important. It's a good thing to see that it survived the winter. It would be a pretty heartbreaking thing to show up at the outhouse when you need the outhouse and find out the roof had collapsed and the whole thing was full of snow.
Yeah, that would be.
Well, so much for that blue ribbon weather. It's back to snowing again. Time for a nice big hearty breakfast, some coffee, and we'll get back to that roof.
Oh, I get it. I get it now. I figured it out. Colombian. A little bit of Colombian coffee, never hurt nobody. Yeah, seal that shit off, bitch. Seal that shit off.
Now, for the last 2 nights, one of the things that's occupied most of my time is making water. Being that I snowmobiled in here for a couple days, I didn't really have the ability to bring 5 gallons of water in a big jug. It's a long snowmobile trip on really rough trails. So I figured I would just melt down my water when we got here. Now, I melt my water in this coffee pot on the stove inside the house, the wood stove. And it takes about an hour and a half to melt enough snow to fill a gallon jug and to fill my blue water bottle. The eggs you see on the counter, they were from a hunting trip in November. They're frozen and broken, so they're no good. I've basically been living on Mountain House packaged food for the last couple days. It's freeze-dried, it doesn't weigh anything, so it's really easy to get in here and travel light. But it sure is good to have something sweet. I do have pancake mix and flour, so I'm looking forward to a pancake breakfast after a couple days of salty, freeze-dried food.
Oh. Big old pancake. And a big old cup of coffee. That pancake. Oh! Oh! Hell yeah, dog. Oh shit, dude. That's a motherfucking pancake. Pancake. Another one? Buddy. Buddy, look at that pancake.
Being that it's this cold outside, I chucked both the pancakes back in the pan to make sure they're good and hot. And the buttermilk.
Whoa, buddy. How much, dude? Put the whole bottle of syrup on there? God bless us. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, Socrates, Sophocles, Euripides, all Dionysus, Art and Science. Thank you so much for your divine blessings, connections, expressions, impressions, lessons, and messages. Thank you so much, dog. You're the best, bro.
But pancake mix and syrup and butter
Big dog. Shout out to Big
kind of the
Dog.
only things in the cabin right now. I'm down to one last mountain house meal. And then after that, I'll be like eating crackers. So, pancakes.
Pancakes.
Oh man, where have you been, baby? That is so good. The other thing is, I really don't have anything here at the cabin that's sweet. You know, after a couple days of salty food, something like this really hits the spot. Well, mayonnaise too, because that pancake mix has been in this cabin, I don't know, 4 years probably. So is the syrup. Had some coffee, had some breakfast. Sat around listening to the radio for just a little bit and I fell back asleep and then I woke up. This massive sound. I thought, oh my goodness. All that snow, that mountain of snow that was still left on the roof came off. But it didn't. Let me show you what I found. Look at this. That snow came off and bent this tree backwards. Just beyond it, you can see the ladder that was leaning up against the roof. It stood straight up. Those two thin spruce trees are the only thing keeping the snow on the roof now. I thought I would probably still have about a half a day shoveling to get it all off. But it's warm enough outdoors and it's warm enough inside the cabin. It's all ready to slide. That's 18 feet long, just this great big snow and ice shelf. And it's sticking out beyond the roof, probably 6 feet. So I think I'm just gonna start busting it off and hopefully it'll clear itself off the roof. Honestly, I think if you just sneezed at it, it would come off there. Wow, look at that. Well, I'm getting my ladder out of there anytime soon. No, that ain't happening. Even from where I'm standing, the snow's 7, 8 feet high. I think it's real obvious those two trees are just like a trigger. All you gotta do is clear a little bit of snow and let that mass start sliding and it's all gonna come off there. So we'll just chip away at it and see what happens. Wow, what a giant mess back here. But at least the majority of the weight is off that roof. There's still 2 feet of snow on the roof right there. It'll slide off at some point, but it ain't gonna do it now. I think that's it for shoveling. I can't really, there's not a spot to put any more snow. You can't get it to come off because there's a pile all the way up to the eave. That's 90% of the weight anyway, so I think we're good. Wow. All afternoon, any snow that was left on the porch has slid off the edge of the porch, down onto the pile, and then back onto this deck. It's like this is the 3rd or 4th time I've had to shovel it off. Years ago, we lived in Delta Junction, Alaska. Usually it would be about 15 to 20 inches of snow on the ground per winter. And that would be about all you'd get. About 4 years ago, they got 3 feet of snow up there. And then they got about 3 or 4 inches of rain. And it collapsed buildings all through the area. Even the IGA grocery store collapsed. The possibility that that could have happened here in the Lake Superior country is very, very real. With this much snow and then a heavy rain, well, you can expect buildings to fail. Just too much weight. But we're in good shape now. Time to get turned around for the morning. Get out of here before the weather gets too bad.
Wait. What? What?
This time of year, this part of the country is desolate. There's not another living person for 10 miles in any direction of where I'm at. It's just a solitary existence out here. On a busy weekend, you'll hear snow machiners far off in the distance. But it's kind of about as far away as you can get from the rest of the world. So it's kind of an odyssey of a trip to get in here by yourself. Spend a few days just living in the snow. How's that for you? Nice stack of hot pancakes. Can eat them in a snowbank by a Coleman lantern. Not bad.
I have one consistent viewer.
Very soon the cold weather's going to break, and then the snow.
God bless the
fall
one
apart.
consistent
And with 3
viewer.
feet of rotten snow, there will be no way
God
to get back
bless
in here
it.
until the snow's gone. So this is going to be my last trip for this time of year.
I'm only 20.
I'd say
Oh,
goodbye to
they're
the
gone.
cabin.
God bless.
Until spring.
God bless.
It sure has
22
been nice to get
minutes?
up here.
Really?
It's been nice to get that weight not only off the roof, but off my mind too. Thank you guys for coming along with me. My name's Dave Whitman. You've been watching Bush Radical. Be radical, eh? Thanks, son.
Wave goodbye to summer and hello to savings up to 30%
Yo.
during Raymore Flanagan's Labor Day
The
sale.
real
Save
whiffler?
hundreds on comfy sofas,
What are you
sex
whiffing?
toys, beautiful dining, and bedroom sets.
What are you
and much
whiffing
more.
on?
Get what
Wiffle
you
balls?
need fast with delivery in 3 days or less. And don't miss massive mattress savings with up to $700 off
Wiffle
Tempur-Pedic
balls?
and more. Exclusive in-store savings combine select mattress sale pricing with Shop on
I'm allergic to weed, dude.
Proud sponsor of the Buffalo Bills.
Bro, I could hit off you. Whoa, dude.
I'm going to show you guys how to build a 3-sided shed. Possibly the simplest, most practical, and most useful building you can put up for the least amount of money. You're watching Bush Radical.
God bless, dude.
Now here's the shed we're going to be building today. It's 12 feet wide, 8 feet. Perfect for bicycles,
Dude,
or
I'm allergic
motorcycles,
to
lawn
weed.
tractors, pigs, chickens, cows. Pretty much anything you want to use it for. Me personally, it's going to be used as a wood shed. Let's get started. Now we're going to be building this shed at an old abandoned cabin that I own. This cabin is in need of a complete overhaul. But when I finally get around to doing the renovation, the cabin will ultimately be heated with not only that, but this property is absolutely full of dead, down, old trees that need to get cut up. So building a woodshed is kind of the first step in renovating this property. I need some place to put all the wood that I'm going to need to heat the house through the winter to do the renovation. I've had this spot picked out for quite a while, right by this big white pine tree. It looks like there should be a woodshed here, but there isn't yet. But once it's done, I think it will sit in this spot and just look like it's always been there. Now, what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be putting in 3 4x4 posts for the back of the shed, but the front of the shed is going to be 4x6 posts. The reason is because the front is going to be open. So it needs to be a little more solid. It needs heavier posts, and it needs a bigger header to carry the weight of the roof. Now once my first corner post is set, I'm just going to tack a 2x6 onto it, an 8-foot long 2x6. And then I'll dig my hole at the end of that 2x6. The idea is to do as little math as possible and let the building just build itself. See? Now that I have my second post in, I will tack that one in too. Then we'll tack a 2x6 to indicate the front of our building. We'll tack it right to the corner of that post. Now we're going to square those two sides using an old school carpenter's trick called the 3-4-5 method. You make a mark 3 foot from a corner one direction and then 4 foot from a corner in the other direction. And you want your diagonal to be 5 feet. Once you're at 5 feet, you know that your framing's square. I'm going to measure down and make a 12-foot mark and then dig my hole for the third post, making sure not to move that front board. Once my third post is in, I'll tack it right at the 12-foot mark, and then I'll make sure it's plumb. The hole's big enough I can wiggle it around a little bit to get it plumb, and then I'll fill the hole in and pack it. Now I'm going to take my 8-foot board and my long board, and I'm going to go the other direction so I can establish the back corner. Same principle. Tack it right flush to the corner, 12-foot mark, and then on the end you have your 8-foot 2x6. There's your corner. See how easy it is to build a building like this where you're really not measuring anything. You don't set batter boards or string lines or layout. You're just building in place. I'm going to put a post in the middle here in the back. Well, kind of in the middle. I had to move it off to one side just because of a tree root, but it doesn't matter. Once I have that back corner post in, I will tack that at my 12-foot mark and then tack it to my end board, 8-foot long board. Just tack it. You don't have to nail it hard. And that'll keep it in one spot while I wiggle it around until it's plumb. And then fill the hole, pack her down tight. Now we have all of our corner posts plumb. We just need to stuff in the center post in the back. Now we're going to go around the bottom and nail off our boards. These bottom boards need to be green treated. I like to start at the corner that looks like it's the highest. And then we'll go to the next corner, take the level, make sure that that board is level and nail her off. This back board had a little crown in it, so put the level right in the middle. That looks about right. Now there's a couple tree branches here that need a little bit of trimming. I like these branches pretty much coming right down on top of the roof, but these ones are just too low. By the time I'm done, this one should be just sitting above the roof. I kind of like it. I'm pretty sure this one is the tallest out of the two shorter posts. I'm going to go with the top of this post for my header. One of the things I always do working alone is I like to set nails. I like to set nails so they can be the other person holding up the other end of the board. That looks about right. We'll nail that off.
Yeah.
Double checking here in the center.
Yeah.
Good deal. You'll notice this board is running a bit long. It's running past the corner. We'll cut that off later. You can see I'm setting another nail. That's going to be my little something to sit that board on as I get the other end level and nail it off. Then I'll pull that nail, drive her in, set another helping hand nail, setting another board up. If you've never built anything before, the principle of setting a nail as kind of a ledge to rest your other end of the board on, well, it can't be overstated how useful that is. Now that my top board is in place, we'll just nail her off. Now that you have your bottom run of boards nailed off, and they're all level, and your top run nailed off, and they're all level, doesn't matter what the height is, as long as they're good, we're ready to start setting our two mid-span 2x6 nailers. These are the boards that are going to hold the 1x plain board siding on the outside of the building. Just kind of even the space out. You can see these are running 1.5 inches past the end. That way when you put the 2x6s on the end wall, they'll be nice and flush where they meet each other at the corner. Now as I'm putting this framing together, I'm generally only putting one nail in each board. Ultimately, there's going to be 4 or 5 at each junction where a 2x6 nails into a 4x4 post. But for right now, just to get the frame all in place, it's really fast to sink one nail in, maybe 2, and then just move on. And then when all the framing is built, then go back and hard nail everything with 4, 5, or 6 nails at each junction.
Chainsaw McGee over here.
So what I'm going to do to put the roof on here is I've got to establish a pitch. So I'm just going to cut a block. I'm going to put a block right here in the end. I'm going to set up my rafter right here. Just nail it in. Then I'll take this block off the side. I'll put it on the other side. You'll see it's just ridiculously simplistic. Now this block that I'm using is just a chunk of scrap wood, and I don't even know how long it is, to be honest. I don't know what pitch the roof is ultimately going to be. I'm just giving it enough pitch that it looks right, and that's good enough. It's just a very simple way to raise one end of the board up, nail it in place, and then I'll use that block on the other end to raise the other side up and nail it in place, and then the pitch will be the same on both sides. I like the way that looks. That's about right. Building like this, you can establish a pitch that's the same on both ends and build to that pitch. Very simple. You know, so many of the old buildings from way back 100 years ago, they're so simple in their construction. They probably use
Yeah, you
very
don't
little
gotta
math
get
and much
crazy with
more
the
building
math.
place practices like what I'm using here.
Triple
See, I'm measuring the tail
double.
of
My
that
first
map.
like of the
I can
day.
see how far it's sticking out beyond the building. And I'll just make this one the same.
Cheers, bro.
Marking it and then sliding it into position. Once it's in position, I know the pitch is the same from one end of the building to the next. I know the rafter tails are hanging out the same distance on both sides. And I just pop that block out and you're done. Now for the front of the building, we're going to set a double 2x8 header. That's going to support.
Oh, double 2x8
Buying
header.
this boat was a total no-brainer.
Oh, no-brainer. If you got a new boat, the smart thing to say
Double
is, like a good neighbor,
no
State Farm
header.
is there.
Your State Farm agent can help you choose the right coverage.
Genius.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If you keep making that face, it's gonna stay like that.
I'm trying to get my own car insurance.
USAA. Grandpa was in the military.
Oh.
He shared membership with your mom so she can share with you.
Dude.
Easy.
USAA. Check if you're eligible today.
You write that down.
Men put their skin through a lot. Take your skin to its happy place with Dove Men's Micro Moisture technology that strengthens your skin. Dove Men, care changes everything.
You guys ever do that? You guys ever fill up a notebook and then you go like this? And then you just write on it the other way?
And it felt like someone.
So then you're on the backside pages?
And I couldn't move.
You guys ever do that?
Come join me, best friends.
Oh. No?
Pour it all the way to the roof. And that's just going to butt right up to the bottom of those two rafters.
Oh,
I set a couple
okay.
nails for something to set the end of the board on. And we'll put this in place, snug it up tight to the bottom of those two end rafters. And it's a done deal. Now the front of the shed, of course, is open. So we're gonna need a nice strong
I got an
double
upside
header
down
to
notebook
support
ready
that
to
open
go,
span.
baby.
So I'm gonna put the same 2x8 on the inside, right up underneath that rafter that's on the end, nice and tight, and nail it off on both ends.
Oh,
Well, now that I have that front header in, and I have a rafter on each end, we basically have the outline of the building, its basic shape. Now's a good time to go around and make sure every one of these boards is nailed off. Now I'm using 4-inch galvanized ring shank spikes. No fun to drive in, they're nice and strong. Now we're gonna do our layout for our rafters.
Yo, triple double, what's up, dude? It's freaking 2:15 on a fucking Wednesday.
For each of your rafters,
I wrote it
when you
down.
measure the tail of the rafter, the overhang.
I wrote it
make
down.
mark, so that it's hanging out exactly the same as the ones you set up initially, the ones on each end. Then just
I'll
tuck
write
those
something
in
out. I'm
place.
gonna write something else down.
Lovely. Now roof metal is roughly
I
39
wrote something
inches
else down,
wide.
dude.
So once you lap one end over the next, you end up with 3 feet of coverage for each panel of roof metal. This building's 12 feet wide, so I'll have an 18-inch overhang on the left side and the right side, which will make 15 feet. So I need 5 panels of roof metal.
Yo, what
But before
Pokemon
the day
you
started, I
playing?
didn't have my morning coffee, so I'm gonna make myself a cup of tea.
What Pokemon you playing?
Now this old
I
Primus
love
stove,
Pokemon,
I
dude.
keep it in my truck in an ammo box. It's like me, it's getting old and it takes it a minute to get going, but it works like a charm. I just put unleaded gas in it, fires right up and runs. While my water's getting hot, I'm gonna cut these 16-foot roof nailers down to the 15-foot length that I need. The blocks that are left over, I'm gonna use those too. We're gonna use these as nailer blocks. Now on the front of the building, there's a double header. There's gonna be a double header on the back too. The nailer blocks will go between those 2 headers, and that'll be what holds our rafters in place.
Double header.
I'm gonna cut the ends off so they're at the same pitch as the roof itself.
Double header, baby.
We'll set in that double top header in the back, just like we set the front one in. Get it up snug to the rafters that are already in place. Doing pretty good.
Excuse me.
Now for these
Ooh,
nailer
excuse me.
blocks, it's a good idea to set some nails ahead of time. That way you're not in an awkward spot trying to set and start your nails. Fit them up between that inner and outer header. Nail them off to the rafter. You see, I'm using a sledgehammer to back up that board. Makes those nails a lot easier to drive in.
My boy's building a shed, baby. Dang, I should be playing Pokemon right now. But I'm not, dude. I'm watching Bush Radical build a radical shed. Wow, he's really battening down the hatches.
Now that all my rafters are nailed off nice and snug in place, I'm going to use them as a guide to cut off these corner posts.
No.
And I'm just going to cut this back post off too. It's just a little higher than it needs to be. Perfect.
What,
I have an
dude?
old pile of pine boards I sawed up years ago with my brother. They've just been sitting here and they get used little by little. I think I have just enough left to side this shed. And that's going to be great. Not only will I avoid buying anything, which is great because they're cheap, but these things got a great look. They're old, they've been around a bit.
Dude,
They're
this
gonna look
dude's
really
truck
good.
is fucking beautiful. Galvanized.
Now you see
Dude
this double header
loves
in the front.
nailing
It's
shit.
sticking out 1.5 inches beyond the post. So I need to kind of fur that post out so that when I go to side the front of the building, everything will be even. I'll start by putting in a 45-degree diagonal brace
Yeah, good
on each
idea.
side.
You fucking fuck.
Just fit that up right in between that double header. Nail it off everywhere there's a spot to nail it. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Now that 45-degree brace, that has to be the same plane as that top header. So I'm going to nail on an extra 2x2. So now everything's flush. I'll be able to side the front of the shed.
Oh, not a rear? Okay. Man, you learned something new. Not a rear?
Now the nails we're using for the siding are 2-inch galvanized nails.
Pockets.
The boards are roughly 1 inch, and all the 2x6s are 1.5 inches, so that's 2.5. If I went with a 2.5 and I sunk a nail a little too far, it'd be poking out the inside of the building. So I'll just use a little shorter nail, and I'll put a couple extra in. Now some of these boards have been out underneath of a tarp, and once in a while the tarp gets blown around and the ends of the boards get rained on. So I'm strategically placing these boards so that any dry rotted ends of the boards are sticking up above that rafting. So when I cut them off, I'll just eliminate the rotten portion. Look at that one. This one's bad too. And so is this one. I'm ready to start siding the back of the shed.
Dude,
And a lot
you
of
got
these boards have
rotten
rot on
wood,
one
dude.
end.
You got rotten wood
I'm
running
measuring the
everywhere.
back of the shed from the bottom 2x6.
Cut off
to the top,
all the
75
rot and then
inches.
see what boards
So I'm
you
going to cut a
got.
board 75 inches long, and I'm going to use that as my jig. What I'll do is I'll take all of these boards that have one end or the other that's rotten, and I'll lay them down all together.
Oh.
So
Oh,
the
you're
best
gonna
part
do
is
exactly
right
what I
in the center.
said.
That's 75 inches. When I
Yeah.
get a good stack, I just set my jig on top. And I use a chainsaw to cut them all off at once.
Dude.
Lovely.
Dude. Dude. Do I know construction or do I know construction?
Now we'll start with 2 piles of boards here and see how far that gets us. Because every one of these boards is different, one from the next.
Got a lot of
Some are
firewood.
13 inches wide, some are 10 inches wide, some are 14 inches wide.
That one you gotta go inside.
And that's one of the beautiful things about siding with wood like this. They don't have to be anything specific. When you're using plywood, everything's got to be right on, 4 foot on center. But with just old rough sawn boards like this, not so much.
Oh, you're just going with it.
Now earlier I talked about putting this building together, the framing, and I just stuffed a nail in each one of the joints and called it good. And then later on I went back and nailed everything on. I'm
Hand
going to do the same
nailing
here with these
is
boards.
the best.
Putting about 2 nails in each board.
Hand
So
nailing
they're up and in place and I can keep on
cures
working.
cancer, dude.
When I get them all up, well, I'll take a little bit of time and go back.
Hand
and
nailing
nail 'em
cures
all off.
cancer. For sure. Oh, this stream's gonna bite me in the butt,
Be the
dude.
one thing that can change everything.